they're not in their graves.
Well, hello there, my creatures of the night, and welcome to another bone-chilling episode of Saturday Night Horror Theater! Alright, ghouls and gals, let's get it started. On tonight's episode, we'll be reviewing the Octavia Spencer horror revenge flick, Ma. Alright, ghouls and gals, like all my new movie reviews, I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, simple, and to the point. Alright, let's get it started. Ma stars Octavia Spencer, and it stars these lovely young actors and actresses right here. Alright, so Ma is a very straightforward, simple flick. It is a movie about Octavia Spencer's character who goes by the name of Ma, and she is out for revenge. She was treated poorly in high school by all of these young people's parents, and she decides that she is going to plot her revenge and show them what they did was fucking wrong. And what they did to her was pretty fucking wrong. I just want to start out by saying that Ma isn't, it isn't going to win any awards. It isn't going to be this great cinematic masterpiece, but it is a fun, goofy film that reminds me of an 80s slasher flick. The one flick that I kept thinking that it reminded me of was something like a Camp Sleepaway or Prom Night. It reminds me of those movies a lot for the fact that it has a female killer that's out for revenge, especially Camp Sleepaway. And I have to say that I had a lot of fun with Ma. Ma was a very entertaining film that never made me feel boring. It also has a very amazing 80s throwback soundtrack. And it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, this movie isn't a psychological thriller. It's a straight up revenge horror film. And if you like that type of film, then you're going to love this film. As for me, those films for me are kind of hit or miss. And this film, it isn't either a hit or a miss. It's right in the middle. It's neutral for me. I had some fun with it. Octavia Spencer's character really carries this whole movie, and I mean, I think that's what it was supposed to be. This is the Octavia Spencer show, and she does a very good job at playing this kind of tormented character who's just really wanted to be part of the popular crowd. And you can see that she does these different things where she kind of like goes into a trance of like blind rage, and she's just like staring at these kids partying in her basement, and she's just kind of like And for some people that could be kind of silly. For me, I found it effective because Octavia Spencer is a good enough actress that she can pull something like that off. The film also stars Luke Evans, who plays one of the fathers. And it also stars Juliette Lewis, who plays the mother to the kind of more or less the main character, Maggie. And all of these kids, they're typical high school kids, you know what I mean? They make dumb decisions, they want to party, they smoke weed, they have sex, and I mean, I don't want to say that it's predictable, but it is predictable because that's what kids do. That's what teenagers do. They do the same predictable stuff. And for that, I'm going to kind of give this movie a pass because that's what I expect out of teenagers, for them to kind of make bad decisions and then for them to not want to get the police involved because they don't want their spot to be blown up or whatever. And that's where Ma excels. You know, it gets away with a lot of things because these are teenagers. These aren't going to be like an adult where they're immediately going to call the cops, or they're immediately going to be like, no, we're not going to hang out at this person's house anymore. And that's not to say that some characters don't say that. Maggie is one of the first characters that is like, no, we're not going to hang out at Ma's house anymore. Ma is fucking creepy. But Ma has a way of getting to these kids and tugging at their heartstrings so they feel bad for her and they go back and hang out with her again and again and again. I don't want to give away what she does, but what she does is kind of clever, and I don't want to say that I didn't see that coming, but I didn't see that happening how it happened. I knew that something like that was going to happen, but I didn't expect for that to happen. Again, this is the Octavia Spencer show. Octavia Spencer carries this film, and this film, its plot is paper thin. And Ma wants revenge on the people that wronged her in her past. And I mean, for that, I have to say that it's an effective horror film. Again, it's not a super mega hit. This movie isn't going to be like the greatest horror film you see this summer, but it isn't going to be the worst horror film you see this summer, because this film is entertaining. It is an entertaining film, and there is some cool stuff in there, a couple of cool kills. I just wish that they would have kind of sprinkled them into the movie instead of just like all of them sporadically happening at the end. That's one thing that I wish this movie would have changed. I wish Ma was killing people from point A to point B of the movie. Instead, she kind of spends the last like 40 minutes turning into this like psycho killer, which we already knew that she was gonna do, but I wish she would have been doing that throughout the whole entire movie. Another thing that I want to say that is negative about this movie is that if you watched any trailers for this movie, they kind of gave away a lot of this movie, and I really hate when movie trailers do that, especially with horror films, and it kind of takes away a lot of the oomph when you're watching this film, because you're just like, oh, I already saw that. I saw the movie trailer, and that happens in the movie trailer. But that's not to say that there isn't other things that happen in this movie that the movie trailers don't spoil, but they do spoil a lot of this film, and that's where I kind of feel bad for this film, because I wish that the marketing and the trailers didn't show that much of what happens in this film. Also, this film is a short film. You're not going to be sitting there for 2 hours plus. This movie is like an hour and like 25 minutes, and you know, maybe an hour 25, hour and 30, and I feel like that is the correct amount of time for every horror movie. Horror movies don't need to be 3 hours long, 2 hours long. 90 minutes is perfect for a horror movie. I'm not going to sit here and talk about this movie all day and all night long, because I kind of do want you guys to go out and see it. I do want you ghouls and gals to go out there and see it, and I want y'all to kind of just enjoy this film for what it is. It's a 80s throwback movie to those older 80s films, you know what I mean? It's a high school slasher flick through and through. I feel like teenagers are going to like this movie a lot, because it's heavily aimed at the teenage audience. And I feel like people more my age, 25 and up, will kind of like this movie, but not as much as the teenagers. This movie's going to find its audience with teenagers. And for that, I have to give Ma a 7.7, no, just a 7 out of 10. I was kind of struggling with giving it a 6.5 or a 7, and I ended up on a 7 because, 1, Octavia Spencer is really good in this film, and 2, this film has a really good soundtrack, and 3, I love the 80s, and I love that this movie kind of embraced that cheesy 80s-ness horror vibe, and for that, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I suggest that you go out and watch Ma, maybe not immediately, but at some point in the summer, go out and watch Ma. It's worth your money. I'm Ryan T, and I'll see you in the next bone-chilling episode of Saturday Night Horror Theater.